Hello friends, this is Durga from IT University. As part of this session, we'll continue discussing about Airflow. Today we will try to fill the all the gaps with respect to what Airflow we have developed yesterday. We will try to uh, go with a bit realistic example by replacing all these nodes with a bit realistic code, and then we'll understand how we can troubleshoot the issues and all those things. Again, this is still a basic flow. We are not going into some of the key concepts which we should be familiar about, but I will highlight some of the points which we will discuss in future. And once we pick other skills with respect to big data, we'll come back and we'll start exploring some of the advanced concepts with respect to Airflow. That being said, for those who are joining for the first time over YouTube, these sessions are conducted as part of something called as Data Engineering Bootcamp. And this Data Engineering Bootcamp is primarily for those who are graduating this summer from US universities. If you want to get notification whenever I conduct these live sessions, and if you want to learn few things, please subscribe to our channel and click on the notification icon so that you get the notifications. That being said, as part of yesterday's session or last session, I have created this Airflow pipeline where we have simulated a scenario to get data from MySQL as well as Postgres simultaneously and then join. However, we just filled this flow with hypothetical Linux-based commands just to demonstrate how to build the pipeline. This is just a skeleton. Now we have to actually get into the replacing some of the key things so that it is implemented with a bit realistic one. To replace these things with a bit realistic one, I have built a application called as Etl Demo. If you want the source code of that, you can go to the github.com. I will also update the README to identify once you clone this repository, how to validate locally and then how to implement as part of the pipeline. I will try to document as part of the README. It is not ready yet, but I will take care of it. If you go to github.com/dgadraju, which is my GitHub account, you can actually go to the repositories. Let me see. I think I just went to github.com. I have to go to my account. This is my account. And if you go to the repositories, there is a repository called as the Etl-Demo. This is primarily used for data pipeline orchestration. You can click on this and you can see the source code that is relevant for this demo. I will walk you through the source code, and I will then validate without integrating with Airflow. Then we'll actually take care of integrating this with Airflow so that the things can be triggered in a proper order. So in standard terms, it is called as workflow. So we are going to create a workflow to satisfy our use case. So let's begin with the use case. The use case is to get from MySQL database with respect to orders, and also to get customers data from Postgres. And then I just want to join these two datasets using some Python-based library. We'll be using Pandas for that. And I just want to get the number of orders placed by each customer, and I want to save it into the file. So that's the overall pipeline which we are going to implement. So that being said, if you look at the source code, which is in GitHub repository, again, and the repository name is github.com/dgadraju/etl-demo. You see there are quite a few Python scripts. The main one is app.py, and then we'll also use process.py. So app.py have the logic to read the data from MySQL as well as Postgres. So it takes 3 arguments. The first argument is the environment, such as dev, UAT, production, etc. The second argument is nothing but the database. So the database name which we want to pass. So I will show you what all valid values we can pass in a moment. And the third argument is table. So satisfy get orders from MySQL, we'll be passing orders as the table name. To satisfy get customers from PG, which stands for Postgres, we'll pass customers as the table name for the third argument. For the second argument, if you go to config.py, So if you are following my content for quite some time, similar structure is used for a data copier thing also. So don't get confused between that and this. This is I copied some of the source that project repository and created this custom go to the data copier database. In this case, with source DB, but this time I have changed it from source DB to retail DB and target DB to customer DB. So customer DB is the database which is in Postgres, and retail DB is in MySQL. So in some cases, in actual real world scenarios, the customer's metadata will be maintained in a completely different database than actual transactional data, so that we can run loyalty programs and all against the customer's data. And also, especially with respect to some of the applications which store confidential information, we don't share all the customer information with the order management system. We only share the customer ID. And if you want to run analytics, we have to get the customer data from customer database and transactional data from order management system database. And then downstream, we typically tend to join these two datasets and run some analytics against it. So it is a very common use case which we use in most of the companies. That being said, so we have two databases, retail DB and customer DB. To satisfy the second argument with respect to app.py, we just have to pass either retail_db or customer_db in caps. So this program takes three arguments: the environment in which we are running, the database name such as retail DB or customer DB, and the table name such as orders and customers. And then we are initializing the loguru based logging. This is just a function which will take care of writing the logs to info file and error file. And then db_details is a variable or object which is the outcome of this load db details function. This load db details is from util, and if you go to the source code of this load db details, it is just reading the properties based on the environment we pass. In this case, we'll be passing dev as argument, and all the dev related properties will be returned by this function. So this object db details will get all the dev related properties such as retail db's as well as customer db's details, which include the database name, host name, port number, password, etc., whatever is available as part of our configuration file. Then I'm invoking read table. I'm passing the db details and the table name, and then it will read the data from the table, and it will provide us the data as well as column names. And then I'm actually creating a data frame out of it, and then I'm writing the data frame into a file under /tmp. If you look at the code with respect to write df2 file, we are passing the data frame which is generated using the data and columns which are written by read_table. If you go here under write df2 file, I am specifying the file path, which is nothing but base directory. In this case, base directory is nothing but /tmp, and then table name will be used as part of the path, and then we are giving the file name. So using this file name, data will be copied to that location. Okay, you will understand once I start implementing as part of the pipeline. Now let me go back here. Let me clean all the temp folders. We have orders. Orders is not there. I just have the join orders and customers. Let me remove this so that we can validate these things. So the source code is already pulled into this location. I have cloned the repository here, and I'm just making sure that the latest changes are also pulled here. It is saying already up to date, so we have all the source code here. So the location for this project is nothing but Etl Demo. I can also run ls-ltr to show all the files here. Okay, as I have ran already, you can see the logs generated into this, but we will be rerunning again, and we will see after each and every hop. Now, with respect to the Airflow, okay, we already created the DAG yesterday to build the skeleton of the pipeline, and the DAG name is nothing but etl underscore demo underscore 101.py. So let me open this etl demo underscore 101.py. I will share the source code of this file also as part of the project ETL demo. After this session, you can pull it and you can actually have the code as part of the repository itself for your idea. And this is the actual code which we have developed yesterday. So if you try to map this to the pipeline, which you see here, so we started to create directories with respect to orders and customers. So you can see here. So this is, let me actually display numbers so that you get a fair idea. So line number 17 to 21st is the step where it will actually create the folder /tmp/orders. Okay, and then line number 23 to 27, it will create the folder temp customers. And I want to create a folder for join orders and customers also. Yesterday, I created that folder as part of this step at line number 43. You can see before simulating the join behavior between orders and customers, I just created the directory, and then using ampersand, I passed the rest of this stuff. This is the Linux feature where if the directory creation is successful, then only it will execute. And we just redirected the output to a file just to simulate the join behavior. Today we will be actually invoking the Python code which will actually join the data. For that, we have to review the process.py, which I'll be doing in a moment. Okay, and before this, I also created a couple of tasks which are nothing but get orders from MySQL and get customers from PG. And these are the tasks which are highlighted here. So this is the one get order from MySQL, and this is the one get customers from PG. So in this case, I just simulated using Linux approach by just passing a message hello from customers into this text file. We will invoke the Python code to actually get the data of customers into a file. We will take care of it in a moment by invoking the appropriate Python command. And then after joining, we just want to drop the directories, orders and customers, so that in case if we rerun on regular basis as per the schedule, the directories will be recreated and the data will be staged temporarily into those directories. And then we will run the join, and then we will drop the directories again. And that way, same locations can be used multiple times over a period of time as per the schedule. So all these things will be replaced with actual Python commands rather than the regular Linux commands. Before getting into the actual validation, let us also review the code with respect to process.py. So if you go to the app.py, it only have the capability to read the data from database based upon the information passed and write into a location, right? There is no code which will take care of joining the datasets. The actual code with respect to joining the datasets is under process.py. And if you look at this process.py, it only have one function which is called as join underscore data. And then I am using pandas library to read the data which is in CSV format from orders as well as customers. And then I am using pandas-based approach to join both the datasets and also aggregate based on customer ID and get the count. And then finally, the data frame order count by customer, which will contain the customer ID and the number of orders the customer have placed into this location. Okay, so we have to invoke this to actually join the datasets which are written into the files by these two hops. Okay, and when are we triggering this join orders and customers? We are triggering after reading both orders as well as customers. Both will join into one node, which is nothing but join orders and customers. There we will be invoking that function, and it will take care of the joining our datasets, and the join results will be in the file. If you want to integrate to write into database, you can do that. Or in many cases, we will write the output into the file, and another process might pick the data and write into the database. In that case, we just have to add more hops into our pipeline. Okay, like that, depending upon the requirements, we can streamline the workflow and we can take care of it. We can take care of implementing the required pipeline using Airflow related APIs. Okay, so before updating this ETL demo 101.py, let's validate individual Python commands to see whether we can get the data from MySQL into a file, Postgres into a file. Once we get the data into files, whether we will be able to invoke process.py to join, and whether we will be able to see the results or not. So as of now, there are no directories. I am just creating the directories first because we are first validating that a pipeline can be built. So the first step is to create this directory orders, and then another command is nothing but to create the directory for customers. So these two are the ones which we have to take care. Now, if you look at the code, again, I'm going back to the code. And if you look at app.py, sorry, I clicked on the wrong link. I have to click on this ETL demo. If you click on app.py, we have to pass 3 arguments. And also, if you look at the config.py, the DB user and DB pass for both retail DB and customer DB have to be passed using the environment variables. Okay, this is because the username and password between dev, UAT, and prod will be different, and the developers should not know the usernames and passwords other than the development environment. To address this issue, one of the way when we actually pass the usernames and passwords with respect to database is by using the environment variables. Only the production support guys will have idea about the username and password. However, we don't need to make any changes to the code. They just have to export, and then everything will fall in place. We don't need to make any changes to the code. Okay, to simulate that, first we have to export these 2 variables, retail DB user and retail DB pass. Okay, just to validate the command line approach. So now I am saying retail. Let me check the property name. Yeah, retail DB user. It is nothing but retail underscore user, and then retail DB pass. It is nothing but ITversity. And then we also have to set the properties related to customer DB user and customer DB pass. So first I'm setting the customer DB pass. Now I will set the customer DB user. Okay, now all these 4 environment variables are set. I have to go to that location where I have cloned the repository with respect to my code. It is nothing but my home directory, and then this is the location. Also, I have virtual environment created. I can say source etl demo env bin activate. If you don't do that, it might not able to understand the libraries which are used as part of this project. You can review this file. So if you are running on your system by cloning this repository, immediately after cloning, make sure you create a virtual environment by using this command python 3 -mvenv and give the virtual environment name, and then you have to run source command by saying source the etl demo env bin activate whatever I have ran earlier. Once you are done with that, you have to run this command pip install -r requirements.txt. It will take care of installing all the requirements for this project within this virtual environment. I have already installed that. That's why I'm not running this. But in your case, you have to take care of these 3 steps. First, you need to ensure that you are using Python 3 because this code is developed using Python 3. Then you have to create the virtual environment. Then you have to activate. Then you have to run pip install command. That being said, Now as we are in the virtual environment, I should be able to use Python command. Okay, and I can invoke this app.py. The first argument is the environment in which we are going to run, which is nothing but dev. And then the second argument is nothing but the database, which is nothing but retail_db. And the third argument is nothing but table name, which is nothing but orders. Okay, now I can hit enter. It will connect to the database and it will fetch the data from orders, which is in MySQL, into a file, and we can review by saying ls-ltr tmp orders and then data. You can see there is a file. You can also say view tmp orders data, and you can see the output here. So there is a header, there is no index column. We only have the actual data in this without the index column. How we achieved it? If you look at the source code with respect to read data, where we are returning, sorry. So this is returning the data and column names. After reading the column names and the data, we are creating the data frame here. And if you look at this, I just say df equal to pd dot data frame data comma columns equal to column names, and it will create the data frame. And then if you go to the write df2 file, I just don't want to write the index. Data frame contains the index also. I don't want to write the index. That's why if you look at this df.to_csv, index is set to false, so that you will not see the index which will be there with the data frame by default. Okay, so data looks good from the orders table. Now let me come out of this. Then let me read the customers data from Postgres. It is under customer DB. So I'm using the same app.py with dev. However, the database name is nothing but customer DB, and the table name is customers. Now even customers data is read into the file. We can preview the data by saying view tmp customers and then data -5 zeros, and you can see the customer data as well. You see customer ID, first name, last name, email, password, street, city, state, customer zip code, etc. Because I'm using to_csv, the data is written in CSV. If you want to write it into JSON, you can write it into JSON also by using to_json, etc. There are several APIs which start with to write a data frame of pandas into files. Okay, so this is a bit simplified example. In actual scenario, you might have to create multiple files. You might have to deal with larger volumes of data if it is applicable and all those things. But the focus is primarily on creating the pipeline more than getting into those all nuances. So this will give a fair idea about how to think from the pipeline perspective and take care with using some basic functionality. Now we got both the datasets from MySQL and Postgres, and now I want to process the data. The output has to be number of orders placed by each customer. For that, we have process.py. We are not writing into any database, and that process.py have one function called as join data. We just have to invoke this. That's it. It will take care of running the code here, and we should be able to see the output. Let me see if it works. Python 3 process.py. Okay, and that's it. Hit enter. I haven't logged anything, that's why it returned without showing any output here. It might be a good idea to initialize the logger and probably log so that we capture the information about the progress we are making. Okay, so that being said, now I can say ls-ltr. Okay, I have to create the directory into which I have to write the file. As there is no directory, I think it did not work, and also I might have to invoke the function. Let us see. Okay, for now I'm just saying mkdir/tmp join orders. Let me look at the name of the folder, join orders and customers. Okay, now let me run this. I think it will not run again. You can actually say tmp join orders and customers, and you don't see any output because I have developed the code, but I am not invoking this join underscore data anywhere. Okay, so how to take care? I can actually go back into this PyCharm as part of the process.py. Okay, I just want to add this if name equal to main. I just want to invoke this function. Okay, let's see if it works or not. I hope it will work. If not, I will fix it. So let me commit this. Let me push to the GitHub repository. Now what I need to do, I just have to run git pull, and it will be pulled here. You can see here. Now I can run this python3 process.py. Now let me say ls-ldr tmp join orders and customers, and we can see the output here. So the reason why I have added this if condition, let me refresh this, you will be able to see here also, is that I don't want to pass this join underscore data. For some reason it is not showing up. Yeah, now it will show up. I have to just switch to master. Yeah, now you see, if you have this line, by default it will consider as a main function, and if name equal to main means if you are trying to invoke the main function without giving any name, I just invoke this join underscore data. This is one way where we don't need to specify anything explicitly, and still we can run it just to hide behind a driver. Even without having this condition, I can directly say join underscore data here, and still it will work. Okay, so that being said, now we have validated each and every hop using regular Linux commands and Python commands by invoking the appropriate APIs. It has to be integrated now with DAG, and we will see how to take care of it. What all things which we need to keep in mind while converting or while creating a DAG using the commands which we have ran so far. So what are the commands we ran so far? We can run history here, and we should be able to see all the commands which we ran. We have set environment variables. That is the first thing we did after creating the directories, and then we took care of invoking the appropriate programs with appropriate arguments to take care of whatever functionality they are supposed to take care. There are few gaps in this. I will highlight those gaps also once I walk you through the DAG. Okay, so here I am deactivating just to make sure that we will not get into any confusion at a later point in time. And then I am going here, I am dropping all the folders, rm-rf orders, temp orders, temp customers, and then temp join orders and customers. I have deleted everything. Let me go to Airflow DAGs. Okay, and then let me open the Etl Demo 101.py. Okay, let's go to the beginning. I don't want to change the default arguments and the schedule interval. Even this one I don't want to change. I just want to remove this sleep. We don't need to wait. Just to demonstrate how it works yesterday, I added these sleep statements. I removed these things. So the first two steps of creating orders and customers is taken care here. I'll add one more thing here. Let me save this. Okay, I will add one more thing to actually create that join folder. Okay, so I'm saying y5y just to copy 5 lines using VI approach, create join directory. So that will be the name of the task. And here I'll be saying join dir and then I just want to create join orders and customers. So I'm going to create even before triggering, but I will not be dropping this. Only the other two will be dropped. Okay. Now we are done with this. Let's validate. I saved this, and let me go here into the DAX, and let me refresh this. It will take a bit of time to see that additional step. Okay, it will not show up. The reason is I have to make sure that this is also triggered. So let me copy this, and towards the end, I just want to invoke this. After invoking this, I directly want to go into the join orders and customers. Okay, so when it comes to orders and customer, after creating the folders, I want to fetch the data. After fetching the data, I want to get to join orders and customers. But after creating the join directory, I directly want to get into the join orders and customers. Okay, so that's why I am redirecting to join orders and customer here rather than fetching something. And after joining this, instead of invoking drop, as part of the join orders and customers itself, we will have the logic of joining both the datasets. And after joining, we just want to drop the orders and customers. So we'll keep the other things intact. Only this one has to be added because we have separated the creating the directory to save the join results. And that's why we have to add this additional step. I hope everything is clear so far. Those who are on Zoom, if you guys have any questions at any point in time, let me know. I will address those questions. Now let me refresh this. Now you see you got the additional step called as join directory, and from here it will go to the join orders and customers. I think it will just take some time to add that dependency also. Let's wait until we see that. Yeah. So let me just disable refresh and probably enable. It should show. Let me go to the code and check if the syntax is correct. It's join orders and customers. Still it is not showing up. Yeah, after create join orders, it is not connecting this to this for some reason. I think it's just a matter of time. It will take some time to display that. We will come back to this in a moment. So let's move on. So here, now we have to primarily update these three steps: get orders from MySQL, get customers from PG, and then join orders and customers. So these three are the ones which we have to take care. So let me delete this. For now, I'll just place the bash command like this. We are using bash operator itself. We are not using a Python operator. For most of these cases, we'll be using bash operator only. We will not be using Python operator. Python operator, I still do not understand in what scenarios we should use Python operator. But for most of these things, we can leverage bash operator and take care of the pipeline. Okay, so now let's understand how to invoke the app.py to fetch the data from orders into the location. Now let me save this and come out of this, and let us go to I already ran the history. I just have to go back. Okay, let me run history once again. Okay, if you look at the history, the first thing what you need to take care to get the data from orders is we have to set these two environment variables. Unless we set these things, we will not be able to connect to the database. So if you set the environment variables here, those environment variables might not propagate to the DAG, because DAG will be running by Airflow and it might have a completely different context than our session. To mitigate this, what we have to do as part of this Etl Demo 101.py under bash command, we can say export retail underscore db underscore user. Our username is nothing but retail underscore user. then semicolon. So you can have multiple commands like this by using semicolon. I'm separating all the commands. Then export retail underscore db underscore pass. Our password is nothing but itversity. And then we also need to understand how to invoke the function with respect to the folder where we have cloned our GitHub repository. I am activating the virtual environment. Because I'm activating the virtual environment, all the libraries that are installed are visible, and I'm able to run Python command, and I'm able to see the results. However, we don't have the virtual environment from the Airflow context. We can give fully qualified path to activate and take care of it. That is one way. To in the production, if you want to invoke a particular Python command, what you can do, you just have to give the fully qualified path of your Python which you want to use. So in this case, what you are supposed to do is you can say /home/dgadiraju. Our project is nothing but Etl Demo. Okay, so I can say Etl-demo, and then I can actually go to Etl-demos-env, then bin, then Python. So this is the Python path which you want to use. This will actually take care of invoking the Python function as if we activated the virtual environment. We don't need to run that source command within the Airflow to actually activate. We just have to use appropriate Python executable to execute our script with all the libraries that are relevant for that project. Now I can say Python like this, and then I also have to give the fully qualified path of app.py, because it will be running in Airflow context, not the session which we are connected to. To give the details about the app.py, we have to say /home/dgadiraju, and then slash, and then Etl Demo is the project name where we have all our Python scripts. And in this case, the Python script is nothing but app.py. And then you have to say space, and then it takes dev as first argument. Second argument is nothing but retail underscore db. Third argument is nothing but the table name orders. So this is how you have to run. So you can copy this. Now you can go back into this. After semicolon, you just paste that. Okay. Now with respect to even getting customers data, we have to do the same thing. All we need to do is export. In this case, customer, there seems to be a question. I will take that question once I complete this. Customer db user equal to retail underscore user, export customer db pass equal to itversity, and then paste that. However, I just have to change the table name as customers and the database name as customer underscore db. So customer underscore db customers. Okay. Now we took care of the Postgres related stuff also. Let me save this. Let me go to the DAG and let me refresh this and see how it will look like. Now with respect to create join directory also, the DAG is updated. It is going to join orders and customers. So this was the one I was expecting earlier. This is the behavior I was expecting earlier. Now it refreshed properly. Okay. So that being said, let me take this question in the Zoom and then we'll take it further. So Aditya is asking, when using export here in Airflow code, we are giving the password in plain text. What can be a better strategy to pass the passwords? Very good question, Aditya. So we should not be exporting like this directly. And also will not be running in UAT and prod. It will be production support. Okay. So instead of hard coding like this, what we can do, we can actually give a wrapper, which is nothing but a shell script. So either you can do the approach which we have seen here, or what I can do is I can develop a shell script. So as part of the DAGs, I can say vi fetch orders.sh. Okay, and then you can say export retail underscore db underscore user equal to retail underscore user, export retail underscore db underscore pass equal to itOST, or we can also get the environment variable. So if the environment variables are set, we can also set like this, and these have to be set as Airflow user. Okay, and also there are other ways to take care of this. I will explain that also at a later point in time. Even earlier I have said that there are some limitations with this approach, and I want to highlight some of those limitations. And when I highlight those things, you will understand how to mitigate these kind of issues. So because we are using the environment variables, if you actually set these things as Airflow user, you don't need to hard code like this. Otherwise, you can also hard code, and this will be taken care by the production support team, who will be supporting the UAT and prod. Developers will not be updating these files. We just have to give the instructions to them. Okay, in this case, for now, I am saying retail underscore user, and then itversity. Then I can have this command copied like this. Okay, so I can also say I can also invoke this script as part of the bash command. So in this case, I can say chmod u plus x fetch underscore orders to give execute permissions to that folder, and it is under home dgadraju airflow dax. Let me copy this, and let me go back to this shell script. Sorry, not shell script, the Python script where we have defined the DAG. And now I can replace this. A very good question, Aditya. I'm glad that you are following it. So here I can actually give the script name. The script name is nothing but fetch orders underscore sh. Let's validate. If it works, we'll be glad, because I'm trying this for the first time based on your question. If it doesn't work, I will come back with the solution by tomorrow. For now, we will just go back to the earlier process where we will be exporting the environment variables like this, and then we will directly invoke the Python script from here. Okay. So that being said, on top of orders and customers, after fetching them, we want to invoke the join command. So there are no environment variables that are relevant here. All I need to do is /home /dgadraju /etl -demo / what is the program name? It's nothing but process.py. Let me review that. Let me go here. Yeah, I think I have to. I can actually go to my Git repository. So process.py is the program name. So let me go to the chat here. Okay, not chat, sorry. Let me go to the DAG related code here. We have appropriate command. So I can save this. Oh, actually I have to add one more thing. I have to first give the path for the Python. Okay, then we can save this and we can exit. Now our DAG related code is developed. Our pipeline related code is developed, which is nothing but the DAG. Now we can refresh this. Oh, it's on. Let me go to the code, but it did not execute today. These are all previous runs. Let's review the code also to make sure that everything looks good. Also, you guys can go to this link also. I'll be sharing in the chat for now. You can go to this link. I will also update the GitHub repository so that you don't need to worry too much about searching for this. Those who are joining on YouTube, you can actually go to my GitHub repository and clone this repository, and you will see the DAG related code also in that. Okay. So that being said, now let's go to the DAGs here. And then let's click on this Etl Demo 101, and let's say trigger DAG here, and then let's say trigger. It just started. Let's see the progress. Yeah, now the directories are being created. We can go here and we can say ls-ltr/tmp to see all the 3 directories are created. Then data will be fetched. It will happen pretty fast. Sometimes we might not. Okay, it failed now. So with respect to join orders and customers, it failed. You can see here, if it is red, the status is failed. You can see the details here. Okay, so to troubleshoot, you can click on this. So it failed while joining. You can click on this link. It will download the log file. This is how you can troubleshoot the issues. You can open this with your favorite editor, and you can see what is the issue. So let's see. Okay, so the fetch orders.sh is failed. Let's go back here. Okay, it failed at get orders from MySQL. Getting orders from customers is taken care without any issue. I think so. Let me see. Yeah, get customers from PG is taken care, but this one did not work. Let's review the error messages once again, and then we will see. As well, home dgazraju airflow dax fetch orders.py. Template not found. Let's do this. Let me copy this and see if the path is correct. Yeah, it is correct. And we, okay. Let me see who is running. So one way we can validate it just by running this directly. Yeah, it is working if we run directly. So one way I can do it is I can say chmod +x fetch orders.sh. Now let me clean up all the files. Temp orders. So there is no issue with Sai Kiran in YouTube is saying there is an issue with the shell script. There's no issue with shell script. You see here, it actually ran without any issue. So there's no issue with shell script. I will troubleshoot. This is the first time I'm invoking the script. Probably when we use bash operator to invoke custom scripts, we have to take care of a few things. If I cannot figure out, I will take care of this by tomorrow. For now, we'll just make another attempt and we will see whether we will be able to succeed or not. Now let me go back here and let me trigger this once again. Okay. So the directories are created successfully. Yeah, it is failing again. So let me see. I'm just confirming whether we ran into the same issue or some other issue. Yeah, it is running into template not found. So let me Google for this for a second, and we will see whether we will be able to figure out what the issue is. Okay. So you have to add a space at the end of your bash command. But earlier I did not add a space at the end, and it worked fine. Let me see. Probably for custom scripts we might have to do this. So let me say vi etl underscore demo underscore 101.py, and this is what we are talking about. So let me add a space, and then let me save this, and let me trigger once again. It will be funny if that is the case, and most likely it could be the case, I guess. Let's see, because it is documented under pitfalls also. Oh, I should have dropped. Let me see. It might fail. We will see once again if it fails. I hope it did not run. Yeah, I think it is successful. Let us validate by saying ls-ltr/tmp. The folders are created without any issues. Now let us refresh. I think this time it is running successfully. Yeah, this time it did not throw exceptions, and still it is running. Let's wait until everything is done. Now the join is also done. The final steps of dropping orders and customers directories is pending. Probably it would have done by now. Let us go here, because there will be a lag between the UI and the actual execution. You see the orders and customers folders are gone, but we can see the join orders and customers, and you can see the file. I can say view temp join orders and customers, and then say data -5 where we got the customer ID and the order count. So these are the number of orders placed by each and every customer. So this is how you can actually come up with the pipeline and integrate with whatever application you want to trigger as part of your workflow. So you can mix and match and take care of running tasks in parallel. Whatever can be run in parallel, you can define the linear flow, you can add the dependencies and all those things. As we understood how to define the pipeline, now let's talk about some of the limitations with the current approach. Already Aditya have highlighted, so we haven't used the we haven't hide the information such as username and password. We have hard coded that as part of the DAG script. That is one thing. And also, if you go to the Python code, if you go to process.py, the folder names are hard coded. Ideally, we should not hard code like this, especially this one, temp join orders and customers should not be hard coded. It has to be dynamic, and many times we might even have to append with timestamp. Appending with timestamp and all are pretty straightforward. We just have to understand how to take care using Python based approach to add the timestamp, and we can go further. The more the actual implementation of pipelines will be auditing of the pipeline. So we should know how each and every step is executed. Typically we audit using some batch ID or something. So before triggering the pipeline, we might want to look up into the database, get the batch ID assigned, and then use that batch ID to propagate through the pipeline. And in the end, using that batch ID, we might want to update a table in the database or insert a record into job status details or something like that. So we have to have those nuts and bolts so that we can have the lineage of our jobs. And for that, Airflow provides a lot of operators beyond bash operator. For example, if you want to fetch data from a MySQL database and pass that information through the pipeline and use that information at the end to update a record in the database or insert a new record with the same batch ID in a detailed table and all, we have to keep track of few things as part of the flow. How to take care of that? If you actually get into the some of the core concepts of Airflow, there are concepts like XCOM. XCOM stands for cross communication. You just have to understand that cross communication related stuff to propagate a value from beginning till the end, especially if you fetch some information from the database, and if you want to propagate at each and every hop till the end, then you can use this XCOM feature and you can propagate the information. Also, many times when we actually start pipeline, we want to capture the start time and we want to use that as part of some of the folder creations and all, so that we keep track of when the folders are created or to which flow they are associated and all. So we might have to pass certain information. For that, there is a concept of variables. So Airflow have a concept of variables which you need to understand, and also those variables might have to be communicated between the tasks within the DAG, and that is called as cross communication. And for that, we have something called as XCOM. So you need to really understand some of those core features. We might review those things once we learn Spark and all. For now, just to build the pipelines, understand the workflow concepts, to understand the scheduling related details, these basic pipelines are good enough, but we have to get a bit better by the time we after we complete Spark, Kafka, etc., because those are the key skills with respect to big data. So we'll come back to the Airflow at that time and we will take it further. Also, to get hang of Airflow, I will demonstrate tomorrow about how to integrate with other operators. So if you recollect, we have the data copier, right? So using the data copier, I want to trigger the Docker-based approach and load all the 5 tables or 6 tables in parallel. Okay, so we'll use the data copier code and we will try to integrate with the Docker along with Airflow, and we'll make sure that Airflow will trigger the Docker commands using Docker operator. Then you'll start understanding the additional operators. So Docker operator is quite extensively used these days. Python operator is also used, but I still do not understand the relevance of it, and it is not very straightforward. So I will not be focusing on Python operator. Once we learn Spark, we'll understand a bit on Spark operator, or how to execute Spark commands using different approaches. We can execute Spark commands using bash operator also. On top of bash operator, if Spark operator is relevant, we will look into that. So slowly and steadily, we will understand the relevance of other operators. And I have already highlighted the relevance of operators such as MySQL, where we can query certain data related to our flow from a database. And using the features such as XCOM within Airflow, we can communicate the same batch ID across all the hops in the workflow. If you want to see a basic example of all these core features, you can go to the DAX, and as part of the example, we also have example XCOM. Just Google around Airflow XCOM and understand the relevance of it, and then try to understand this code, how it works, and it will give you a fair idea about it, and we will see a realistic use case at a later point in time, if the time permits, once we learn Spark, Kafka, etc. For now, we just understood how to create a bit realistic pipeline using bash approach, and also we have integrated with Python code. We will actually see the Airflow and Docker integration tomorrow, and then we will actually get into the Spark for next few weeks, and we will understand Spark, Kafka, or other big data technologies, and we'll come back to Airflow at a later point in time, where we will understand the relevance of building these pipelines using Airflow with big data ecosystem. Like instead of creating the directories locally, we might want to create directories in HDFS, and then we want to get the data from HDFS, process it using Spark. Once that is done, we might want to store the output into a Postgres database from which reporting can be done. So all those things will be taken care once we learn Spark. We will try to again come back to Airflow and orchestrate the pipelines with big data related technologies plus relational databases or report databases. So that is the plan. Make sure you gain a bit of comfort level with respect to Airflow, the core concepts of DAG, tasks, creating tasks in parallel and then joining them, how to take care of it. So these things are the ones which you should focus on for now, and we have done quite a bit of research on that. So now let's explore the Docker operator one, and then we will actually get into big data. That being said, those who are on Zoom, if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we will conclude the session. So Karishma is asking, please upload Saturday 6:27 video in YouTube. Let me look at it, what that video is. Okay, so I'm going to YouTube Studio. Oh, I dragged the wrong one. Okay, meanwhile, if you guys have any questions, please type so that I can come back to this. Now let me go to videos. She is asking about Saturday one. So let me go to live here. Where is this Saturday? June 27th. Logging and scheduling. I think it is already added. youtube.com itversity. So those who are joining on YouTube, if this is your first time, just go to itversity channel and you can see a playlist by name Data Engineering Workshop for 2020 Summer US Graduates, and you can see the details here. Yeah, Karishma, I have actually added. You can see here. And this is the yesterday's one. This is the today's one.
Thank you.
Okay. So any question before we wrap up? Okay, then we'll continue on Airflow tomorrow. Also, we'll talk about how to integrate with the Docker, and then we'll get into the big data starting from day after tomorrow. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.